What is up, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we are getting into Duran Gray's The Insulated World in full. We're doing the full album today. Getting my initial opinions out there for so many of you. This has been requested and highly anticipated, so thank you so much for that, and thank you for your patience. I'm certainly sorry that it's taken me a little bit longer than I wanted to get to the record. I know the opinions on it are somewhat divisive. I know some people really like it and love it. I know others are on the fence about it, and some just flat out dislike it. So I'm certainly curious to be able to give my initial thoughts and what I think of it. I'm really happy that the band and their label released official translations for this. For all of us non-Japanese speaking fans and listeners, makes my job as a critic easier. It makes my experience as a fan easier. So I think that's fantastic. And I hope that they continue that trend with future releases. So, this copy was provided by Zephios Kea, longtime subscriber, and the main man for the band Corellia's Discord. They are a visual rock band out of the Netherlands. And I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Did a video for the track Red Romance by Corellia's Discord several months ago, and they're fantastic. You guys like visual rock, they're certainly worth giving a listen to. So, let's get into this monster, shall we? The first track on the Insulated World is軽蔑to始まり. The band is Duran Gray. The album is The Insulated World. And the first track is 軽蔑と始まり. And here we go. Already you're getting those nastier, heavier riffs. Heavier, get a bit more of that Swedish influence as far as the riffing goes. I like that dry, aggressive tone. Really get a lot of that anger and aggression. I actually really like his vocals here on the aggressive side as well. Much more so than I have on previous releases. Really phenomenal cymbal work by Shinya. The production's a touch muddy, but I actually think it's really effective so far. Now I am using a set of really solid studio headphones, so that might be helping it. I like the depth in his aggressives there, his deep, rumbly lows. Certainly going after the different vocal changes and some of that chaos, but it feels less chaotic for some reason. It might be the mix of the production on the vocals. Really love these fills. Shinya sounds like he stepped up his game a little bit. I'm really happy with that. I like that shift. It's a really cool drum pattern. Really like that bass line. Toshi is doing a great job making his presence felt there. Really interesting accents. I think the usual Shinya D beat actually really works here. It's certainly familiar with stuff and metal that I really enjoy, so this really works for me. really powerful and painful lyrics here. Outstanding. That was awesome. The next track is Devote My Life. Sounds like Ko's vocal lessons have really paid off in some of the ways he goes after his aggressive passages. I think you lose a little bit of the chaos, but I think you get a little bit more of that technical vocal display there. It's a really killer shit. You get a lot more of the Western death metal influences. Do like a bit of that funk with the guitar lines, though. That was probably done by Die, if I had to guess. I like that gang vocal. Really great job sticking a groove in here. Really strong bass line, great crash work. This is an awesome riff. The electronic percussion rolling over top of that's a really nifty touch. Something I might expect from Fear Factory. All right. The next track is Ningen Wo. This is one that I believe I have done. Really love these riffs. I feel like guitar-wise, they're mixed better. The tones are heavier, they're more up front and forward. I like that groove. I like what he's doing with the kick. Yeah, this is one I've done. This chorus just immediately rakes chills across my body. I love that he's using this side of his voice again. I love the shift. It feels more like a two-part chorus. Really strong vocal layering. Really love this sound from them. It's just strong, heavy, and simple riffs and grooves. This is highly enjoyable. And honestly, I feel like the limitation with Shinya's aggressive drumming really work with riffs like this. The questions, the loss, the anguish that I feel like I'm getting out of Ko in these lyrics. Incredibly powerful. And I think so many of us have asked that same question. Why am I living? Some of these songs feel very stripped and more simple. This track certainly does, but the effectiveness is so strong. Great screams there. Why am I living? I don't care if I never wake up. Blessing to lose heart. No more, or more meaning to live on. Outstanding. Awesome. Awesome track. Love it. The next track is Celebrate Empty Howls. Really cool percussion there. I like that drum sound a lot. It really works here. Really killer accents there. Such a massively fat riff. Outstanding fills, Shinya. Killer job there. Wow. If only his feet and his technicality with his feet could catch up with his hands. Really love the vocal chorus back there and the way Ko's putting his vocals over top of it here. It's a great mood changer. Feels so creepy and dark. Certainly comes through with the howling feels. Riffs really do feel like old school, almost Swedish death metal. Some of these tracks almost remind me of a modern sound on something I'd expect from Entombed with a little bit more vocal diversity. You definitely get that Swedish sound to them. I think Tomb Ads is probably a big part of that. say the drums are mixed well. They're almost a bit forward. They are a bit forward in the mix, I think. Alright, the next track is one I've done. It is Utafumi. I think this one, as compared to the other tracks so far, really does feel more like DSS era Duran Grey-like, as opposed to more Swedish death metal. Really does utilize so much chaos here in his voice, different deliveries. I do like that shouted vocal, it really works. That hook is huge. It is probably the biggest part of this track, and I really like those clean vocals there. I like that distorted solo there, a little bit, it was. Really curious to see how he'd record some of his vocals in the studio, because you get some of those sounds where it does sound like he's actually being allowed to use a handheld and actually cup the mic and kill some of those frequencies and get some of that gurgle and aggressive sound that he uses that you would get when you cup a mic and sing aggressively into it. Really do like that break and the shift back into that chorus. I like that little fill and that little flurry that Chingy tosses in to break this up. I do like that he's breaking up his passages a little bit better instead of just sticking to that really straightforward blast. Alright, that was Utafumi. That next track is Rubbish Heap. This one feels like it's moving through so much faster. These songs are a lot shorter and they seem to feel more stripped. Riffs and grooves are certainly incredibly familiar, very modern metal sounding. Very conversational as lyrics once again. Really great fills there. Really enjoy the way that drum pattern is moving. Yep. I long for a bit more mids. I long for that bass to be a little richer. I feel like the drums are a little forward, but I don't really mind the mix, to be honest. These grooves are infectious, man. I want to eat these up. I like that lead. Interesting to hear them kind of getting a little bit of that mercenary vibe in their sound as well. Again, I expect a lot of that's probably coming from Madsen, their producer. That riff and where the guitar's placed in the mix is really interesting. Kind of gives me a different feeling. Love the way that drum pattern shifted. Wow. These tracks are flying by. That was Rubbish Heap. Next track is Aka. Really like that guitar line. Really like that tone. Sounds like we might get a little bit more of that progressive Duran Gray as this track fills out and continues to go forward. That's almost a tone I expect out of Mark Tremonti on an Alter Bridge record. That's a killer clean sound. Really love that. Love symbol work there. This is the track that I've been waiting for. One of those tracks that just sucks me in and beats me over the head with this emotion and power. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful vocals there over this heavier riffing. There's some of those massive, clean voice notes I was wanting. I like those ambient textures there. Really like how they're adding to the track. I like these polyrhythms they're tossing in. Really cool shifts. Really great solo there. Very much building on that melodic death metal feeling. Again, that In Flames influence. Certainly with that clean riff under the solo here. Something you might hear off Jester Race or Oracle. Nice vocal area in there. I like that almost bluesy solo. Really clever licks. great fills. Those ambient textures really add some effectiveness to those heavier passages. This one has me lost. Just completely sucked into it. But I do really enjoy a lot of the inflamedisms, the old school inflamedisms of the track. That was beautiful. It was atmospheric, it was heavy, it was powerful and passionate. Love it. The next track is The Values of Madness. Like the heavy industrial leaning there. Really like some of the riffs. Oh, that's tasty. It's interesting to hear Duran Gray and Co. attack almost a rock-like riff. This reminds me of something I might hear off of their first record, Gauze. We got that very Faith No More-like feeling in some ways. That vocal pattern it certainly has a Mike Patton-like feel. Really dig it. Love the movement of this track. Love how it's building. This is a great way to shift into this chorus. These lyrics really feel like Co's dealing with some of the pressure of being who he is. And really dealing with the music business and all the garbage. What a release. That's got to be one of my favorite riffs I think I've heard from these guys. It's such an amazing, killer, groovy riff. Look how huge the drums sound right there. Those toms sound massive. At least for that point in the track. Wish their drum sound was a little more consistent. Nice shift, like that little accent riff. I love that distorted bass line kind of tone. That was killer. That was an absolutely phenomenal track. Such a groovy butt kicker, man. The next track is Downfall. I'm amazed just how well this record's flowing together. I'm also amazed how not drained I am listening to this. Normally by the ninth track in our Duran Gray record, I'm wiped out. Great tremolo picking there. New wave of Swedish death metal feel is certainly on display. Shinya's blasting grooves like that, rolling across the toms to a riff like this. It's really where I start to love Duran Gray's heavier stuff. band definitely playing to the strengths there. I like the bass line, just wish it was up a touch more. These riffs are so familiar, I just can't place them. I'll have to go back and listen to some of my collection. They're so familiar. Oh, I like that shift, that nice open chord there, or that nice chord there, killer. Wow, that's just a good choice there. It's gonna be interesting to say, but I feel like they're almost trying a little too hard at points to be chaotic as far as the vocal delivery. Right. That was Downfall. The next track is Followers. We are moving through this record, my friends. It's definitely a heavier record as far as the grooves go. Really like these riffs again. Nice tremolo-like feel, riffing feel. Really strong, moving bass line there. I like that change. Really like the shift and the way he's gone up to the highs. Kind of lulled me to sleep in a way with his really calmly delivered vocals. They jump into this. I like the subtle synth passages going on behind it, behind these riffs. Wow, really love that solo. Something I expect out of Mercenary. Really love these tones there in the lead department. What was the rhythm there? Really strong. Another killer shift in these very sparkly, clean passages I've always liked in Burn Drag. love that he continues to push those vocals higher and higher and just kind of digs deeper and deeper at me from an emotional level. Really like that open hi-hat work there. Very cool touch by Dai. Or not Dai, but Shinya. My fault, my mistake. Call it fatigue from being 10 tracks into a 13-track Duran Gray record. Being lost inside that one. Another really powerful, really deep, and very self-reflective lyrics there. The next track is Keigaku no Yoku. And we're almost done with this one. Again, really love these clean tones. Back half seems to get a little bit more melodic. The front half was definitely more aggressive, heavier, more of a plodding, like old school Swedish death metal feel. These later tracks have more of a melodic death metal kind of feel, or a progressive death metal feel. Love that richness that he's using in that mid-range. I wish he'd use that more in his clean vocals. Where's that bass tone been throughout the record? Really interesting industrial elements there. I wonder where they were going to go with it. They went typical Duran Gray. Kind of standard Shinya aggressive beat. And really simple groovy riffs, chaotic vocals over top of it. I love this distorted bass tone. I love how heavy and punchy it is right up forward. Wish they'd keep it like this. And then just pop the guitars a little bit over top, but don't drown it out so much. Like the chilling little piano lines, little guitar accents. Gives you that haunting, chilling vibe and atmosphere. Really like that accent guitar riff. It's a really, really cool touch there. Nice hammered on lines. Almost got a percussive feel to them. Such a great touch to play those hammer-ons. I feel like he's trying to do too much there at points with the different shades of the aggressive vocals. I think if you just stuck to one or two voices there, it might be more effective. Outstanding lyrics, another really great track. I'll touch a little bit more on that one later. I've definitely got a couple of things to say. All right, the next track is Zetsutai? I don't even know where to start with that one. Sorry, guys. Seems like a little bit longer one here. It's 7 minutes and 20 seconds. All right. Building really well. Tones are great. I love those ambient textures and noise. Definitely seems like we're getting a little bit of that progressive during Gray that I really enjoy here. Beautiful air in here. Dissonant guitar accents, strong bit of reverb and delay on that tone. I really dig it. Really subtle accent stuff there. Big tom pattern that Shinya likes to use. Some really interesting off-time snare work. Kind of mixes in a little bit of that jazzy style there. God, this seems so familiar to some of the bigger Durham Gray ballads. I'm trying to think which one. I can almost hear the verse or the chorus to it. I just can't think of the name of the track off the top of my head. Rinkaku, I think, is what that chorus almost reminds me of in some ways. Love that that drum build up. Really works with the vocals, the sparse guitar lines. Building this really well. Honestly, I don't really know if this track needs this part. I really like the way it was building, but it built up into this, and it's just so, we've heard it so much even in this record. I like the way that groove's shifting a little bit, but what it goes into just kind of feels almost uneventful. I like that wah drenched solo there. I appreciate them trying to pay homage to their earlier tracks and styles of the past. But the heavier parts sound cobbled together like they threw stuff at a otherwise very emotional track. Really like the more subdued parts of this. Definitely get a bit of that ring cocky feel. Partially, it's got to be the way the riffs are, the way the drums are moving. Certainly, the vocal tone that Joe's choosing to employ here. Got that groove, it just really feels recycled to me. I love that big bass swell underneath the riffing, that was awesome. Again, I really like that open hi-hat word. Alright. We're getting into the last one here, ladies and gentlemen. We are. The next track and final track on the record is Ranunculus. I'm actually really looking forward to this one. I really like this track. And I'm anxious to hear the album version and not the edited version. I really dig the way this track builds. Beautiful lyrics. Love that conversation delivery, how soothing that bass line is. This certainly feels like an old school Duran Gray track with better, more modern production and more modern guitar work, more modern guitar sound. Like that breakup on the tones. love how sing-song this chorus is. I don't speak or sing the language, but this is easy to pick up the melody of. It's so beautiful. I like how they toss that little chug in and they go off into the different riffs and back into the verse. I like that shift there to the piano. Really pretty vocals there. So soft and tender. You get so much of that vulnerability. Really like that orchestration. Song builds so well, and some of my favorite clean vocal work that's been done on the record. I like the clarity of those piano passages. Again, you do get a lot of that In Flames, the new wave of Swedish death metal sound. And I think it really works here. That's a great way to end the record. It's certainly one of my favorite tracks that I've heard so far off the record. That was Ranunculus, or Little Frog, and that's the end of it. All the lyrics on the record are incredibly vulnerable. They're very reflective, and it certainly speaks to what Ko has been going through personally. Reading an interview where he was very candid about why he was writing the record, how he wanted to bring the darkness in. Again, he wanted to express that. He felt like he was actually positive on Iraqi, and the different emotions he was feeling. You really get that, and it comes through in the lyrics, and it's nice and it's incredibly inspiring to see him being so candid, being so raw, and really putting that stuff out there and writing incredible lyrics by doing it. Lyrics across the entire record are amazing. I'm so happy they did put out the official translations, so it's not somebody guessing at it, or in the case of people like Perry, doing incredibly well-researched and well-thought translations. It's actually the official translations, and I do really appreciate that. I think it has done so much for us non-Japanese speakers, so that's great. The album's really interesting, and I'm going to surprise a lot of you, because I think several of you have said, man, I think he's going to hate the mix. I don't actually hate the mix. I don't even mind the mix. There's actually parts that I like. I love how forward the guitar tones are, like the aggressiveness of them. They certainly have that down-tuned, bulky, In Flames or Mercenary like feeling. And I really like how those tones are set. Really like the different clean sounds and semi-clean sounds they got. I do feel like the drums are a little forward. I mean, they're really up there. And I feel the one major issue I think I have in the production and the mix is I feel like the mix is inconsistent. And I'm doing this off a copy of the record provided, so I'm not using YouTube copies or something where I'm getting inconsistent versions. So there's that. It just seems like there's some consistency issues from track to track, and they certainly do certain things for impact and other things. I really like some of those heavily distorted bass tones. And I like how up front they were in certain tracks, like in track 11, Kageu no Yoku. That was just really, really killer sounds. The riffs are really good in a lot of ways. Their standard chug-a-chug, straightforward groovy during Grey riffing does really have that kind of old school, entombed, grave kind of groove. You don't get nearly as much of the new metal influence here. You get more of that Scandinavian, Swedish influence across all spectrums, be it more of the melodic death metal, the Swedish melodic death metal, the Gothenburg scene stuff from In Flames and Soilwork and Dark Tranquility and those guys, to more of that straightforward grooving. I do feel like towards the end of the record, they almost started recycling riffs or getting just really similar feelings and patterns. On track 12, Zetsunetai, really loved the emotional ballad and almost dark, foreboding feelings of the clean work. When they shifted into the aggressive stuff, it just sounded rehashed. It sounded like I've already heard those riffs and those drum patterns and the different vocal approaches several times throughout the record, and I just don't feel like it hit me with a lot of impact personally. Some of you may feel very differently than I did, but it definitely had a stomp, stomp, stomp. You've heard this before, and you've heard this before in this record. I feel like it lost some of that impact. I do feel like at some points, less could have been a little more, and I rarely say that because I am very much in the Yngwie camp of more is more. But I feel like there's a couple of points where in different tracks, using track 11 and track 12 are good examples, is he utilizes several different aggressive tones, that high pitched, the lower pitched, and then the vaunted pig squeal death gurgle that he likes to use, where he sounds like a Cookie Monster eating a microphone. And he mixes them all together in a really short lyrical passage of just a couple of bars. I feel like use a mix of any one of those two, like any two of those, like 3 or 4 different vocals, it might have a little bit more of an effect. It might be more impactful to certain listeners than the way he did it. I love dynamic vocals and some of my favorite death metal singers and aggressive singers utilize multiple different styles of aggressives, and they're able to seamlessly shift through them. And I think multi-part vocal attacks are really important in extreme metal. But I feel like there's points where he leans too much on that, and he tries to really create that chaotic atmosphere over which musically is a very simple aggressive passage, typically a very straightforward Shinya drum pattern and really easygoing riff, and making up for that, making that chaos out of his vocal delivery. And I don't feel like it always works. It always translates. It might be because I have been listening and playing and a fan of extreme metal for so many years, for multiple decades. But I feel like it doesn't always work. I think there's some killer aggressive tracks. I think overall it's a really good record. I really do. It does. You do get some similarities in riffs, and some of the heavier parts do start to blur together a little bit. I think they did a great job of combining some of the older Durham Gray feelings and older Durham Gray influences with more modern metal attack of more recent Durham Gray. And it kind of, as far as the homages to different periods and a more straightforward overall approach to the record, reminds me a lot of what the Gazette did with Ninth. Is the songs were more focused, less insanity, a little more straightforward, and they certainly brought different homages to different parts of their catalog in throughout the record. Albeit a little muddier production, certainly not as crisp. I feel like that muddiness in some ways is effective in the heavier tracks. I feel like in some ways it's not, but I don't ever feel like I can't make everything out. Now, I am using a really good pair of studio quality headphones, so there might be part of that. I'd have to listen through it on a lesser set and see how much of an impact that makes. And if it does, I'll let you guys know, and I'll shoot a companion video for it. And eventually I will get to a full review of the record and actually review it once I've had time to really sit down with it and really go over it. This is just my initial listen, my initial thoughts. As with any Durham Gray record, once I get into it for a while, my thoughts change. Because it's never enough with one of these, with a Durham Gray record, to make a definitive opinion off of one listen. It's just not. There's so much going on, and there's so many feelings that you need to be able to tap into, so many emotions, and you really got to let it resonate with yourself. I think after multiple listens, I'll have more to say, but I enjoyed the record. I really did. I'm not completely wiped out and drained like I normally am. When I listened to Iraqi, by the time that was over, I was done. I was just completely exhausted. Now, I will say that when I listened to Iraqi, it was also the first Durham Gray record I'd done, as a whole. And I was still really early on in my experience to becoming a fan and really being able to get through and understand so much more of their stuff, because it really did take me a while to walk from the softer ballady or more ballad-like stuff into the progressive stuff to finally actually be able to like and enjoy the heavier stuff. So there was that. And that might be a factor. But overall, I found this to be enjoyable, and I certainly like it a lot more off a single listen than I have of some of their previous work. I still, right now, out of the records I've listened to, I still truly believe that Gauze is my favorite Durham Gray record. I really like what they were doing there. And I need to start getting into the earlier record, more of the earlier records, and working my way forward. But I want to get into Vulgar and Withering to Death and that stuff at some point before the end of the year. But I think it's a good record, and I really enjoy it. And I can understand the complaints, but at the same time, I'm not sure why some of them were there. I can certainly hear why some people other than me, when I'm normally very critical on a mix, don't like the mix. It didn't bother me. And I think it's actually solid. It's not, I don't love it and I don't hate it. it's kind of sitting in the middle, and overall, I really do like those guitar tones and kind of how just dry and crunchy they were. I'm not sure if I love Utafumi in the record. I think it's a good track, but I don't think I expected it to be on the record. I think it does a little better as a standalone as a single. If I have to pick favorites off of one listen, love the first track. Kimitsu, love Ranunculus. That's just one of my favorite tracks that I've heard. I think Followers is amazing. Really like Values of Madness. And I'm going to have to go back and listen to more because sometimes it takes me several listens for tracks to really stand out and just let me know what I need to go back to. But I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope that we get a chance to hear Ko singing in some of these mid-ranges more. I love hearing more of his clean vocals. I really do. Both guitar players have certainly evolved. And Toshi is still one of my favorite bass players that I've heard in the Visual K scene, and I really enjoy him. And well, personally, what I feel like the weakest link in the band is, and probably always will be, Shinya. At this point, I know what he is. I know who he is. I know how he plays. I'm always going to think the heavier parts could benefit from better aggressive drumming. I am. I like busier, more technical, extreme metal drummers, and that's just personal taste. I feel like some of those passages really could have been elevated if you had somebody like Dirk Verburen playing for them, or several others, or even Kai from the Gazette. Yes, I'm going to say it. You're not going to agree with some of you are not going to agree with me. I know for some reason there's this hilarious rivalry between the Gazette and Duran Gray, which I don't understand why there is. But personal opinion, Kai's a better drummer, more technical, better feel. But it's one of those things where Shinya in some ways is like Lars from Metallica. He's not the most technical drummer out there. His chops are limited, but he fits what they're doing. So that's really a toss-up. It's really personal taste. Because there is so much influence from the Swedish metal, I do want to hear I would like to hear a little bit more technical drumming and the more aggressive parts, because that's typically what you hear when you're listening to Swedish bands do similar stuff. But his drumming didn't bother me as much on the record. I knew what I was getting and I knew what to expect, and because of that, it wasn't a distraction on the heavier stuff. I do think he is at his best, and I do think he really shines as a drummer, playing to his strengths. And his strengths, to me, are certainly more in the more rocky, more rock-like stuff, the little more punk vibe, and certainly the more progressive aspects, where he can really utilize his hands more and utilize more of those fills and a lot of things he's very good at. So overall, I think his drumming fit for what they're doing, and I didn't hate it. So hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sure this one's going to stir up people on one side or the other. I know that some of what I've said probably is not some of the answers you guys expected, good and bad. So I'm really curious to see the comments. Thank you guys. Thank you for being patient with me on getting around to this one. Overall, it's an enjoyable record, and really, really happy with the English translations being available from the official stuff. Thank you once more to Zephios for getting me a copy of it to be able to do. I really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. Thank you to my law enforcement, military veterans, and first responders for what you do every day. As always, you've been awesome. I've been Baldman. See you in the next one. Be excellent to each other. Keep headbanging.